Hey, what's going on, my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to talk about how you can speak your truth with confidence. It's a simple thing to desire, and yet, for a lot of us, it's not easy to do. At least it wasn't for me. As many of you know, as I've shared in the past, I struggled intensely with social anxiety, extreme shyness, deep-rooted, paralyzing insecurity, and all of that combined made it very almost impossible for many years to express what was going on in my mind when I felt comfortable and calm. I could not express that to other people in the world. There was a big disconnect in how I thought and felt and what I could actually communicate. And eventually it led me to a heroin addiction. When I used heroin, I could do that. It totally numbed me, and it allowed me to kind of get a glimpse of how I could function and live absent of my stifling emotions and just the heaviness of my insecurity. It allowed me to kind of, that's why it was so addictive for me. But that's no way to live, obviously, so I eventually had to kick that and then be reacquainted with all the stuff that I was stuffing. And then it was a bit of a process of learning how to kind of peel through the layers of self-doubt and anxiety and insecurity to now where I'm at now, where I've shot a total in my life probably 800 to 900 YouTube videos. There's about 500 on this channel, but it took me about 300 or 400 on other channels I had in the past. And so I feel very comfortable in communicating, and I actually enjoy speaking to a lot of people. I like it. It feels good. So I've kind of been on both ends of the spectrum. And for those of you who can relate with maybe you have a lot of good ideas. I know a lot of you do. In fact, I talk to a lot of you guys. And around me, most people are pretty comfortable, especially when it's on a one-on-one thing, my clients I'm speaking of. And a lot of you are just very brilliant and inspiring and just wise cats, awesome people. But then you'll say I'm extremely shy to me, and it'll be confusing to me because you don't come off that way with me. But the purpose of this video is to kind of share with you what I've learned that can help you take your brilliance and be able to express it into the world without feeling so inhibited by your conditioning. Something I've successfully done. Number one, it's a very simple tip. You're going to probably find yourself thinking, okay, got it, next, what's number two? But don't do that, please. I invite you to really consider this. Number one is to speak from your heart. It sounds very simple, but when you speak from your heart, which I guess, how would you explain that? Speaking from your heart, really having good intentions, not selfish intention, but selfless intention, the desire to inspire and help and do good with your verbiage. That is a different place, and it puts you in, I would say, divine alignment with your soul. And it just allows the ego to kind of lose its grip on you, and you might find yourself where you're almost listening for what to say, because there's a greater aspect of your consciousness that can come through when your intentions are pure. I know for a time when I was making YouTube videos, I was very shocked when I started to get a reaction out of people. People would say, oh my God, you're awesome, that kind of thing. And to my ego, it was like, whoa, it made me feel about this big. And then when Victor's inflated ego went to shoot videos, it couldn't fit in the camera. It didn't work anymore. The same expression that was getting the feedback was unable to come through when I was out of my heart. When I started my YouTube channel, it was more like, I want to help, I want to share knowledge, I want to share my life. But then when I started getting the feedback again, it became like, I want to impress, I want to feel awesome, I want to inflate myself even more. And I went through a period where I kind of had to learn that, that's not going to work. For one, I don't want to be that way, because I could recognize it was very cocky and arrogant to me. But simultaneously, I also knew that it just was not going to work. So if you find yourself where you want to stand up for yourself, or you want to, whatever situation you find yourself in where you want to deliver a message that pops into your mind in an inspired thought, just take one moment and bring your focus into your heart and open it, and then let the words come through. It makes a huge difference. It's a little psychological trick, but it's very helpful. It really does work. And I've coached people to help them like grow their YouTube channels, and this is usually the first thing I tell them. I say, speak not with the desire of growing or getting good numbers or comments or likes or feedback. Speak with the intention of helping, and you'll be surprised at what comes through. Number 2 is don't have any expectations. Sometimes we feel inspired to say something, and then the reaction we get is unexpected. We assume that because I felt inspired to share something that I think will help this person, and then they look at me and get angry, or they ignore it or turn away or don't apply it, it can make us feel like, oh, like that doesn't make sense, but it's not about that. I went to a seminar about a month and a half ago, and the person, this was like a topic brought up, and the speaker said something along the lines of, doing that is almost like giving a gift and then insisting on them doing something in particular with it. Once you give the gift, once you express your truth, then it's up to them to do what they want with it. It's not on you. It's not really a gift if you're insisting upon a particular reaction. But because we intend good things for the person, usually when we share something positive, it can justify that desire to control the outcome. And it's not something I think, if we really think it through, we really want to do. I think most of us can kind of understand that. But at least for me, it used to be a habit, a tendency. Now when I make these YouTube videos, I truly don't, not that I don't care, but I trust that what's coming through has a purpose. Even if these people say I suck, these people love me, and these people ignore me. I don't care. I can trust sort of the inspired thought and expression to do what it's supposed to do that best benefits the whole. In fact, about a little while ago, I noticed a comment and said, "Victor, are you on Twitter? Because I want to debate with you." I think I responded saying, I'm not on Twitter, but I explained I don't care to debate with you. You guys probably gleaned this, I don't care. I'm not out to convince anybody of this. I realize a lot of what I talk about, my whole channel, what it stands for, is going to be perceived as complete and utter nonsense and just utterly ludicrous to a good amount of people. But I don't care. Because I've learned to let go and trust that what comes up in me has a purpose. And regardless if you care about any of that, it'll help you speak and communicate more smoothly when you're not trying to micromanage the reactions of people. Lastly, is practice all of this. This is not something you're going to just be able to break through years of conditioning and barriers of anxiety overnight. It was a process for me, man, a big time. And I found myself, ironically, in many situations that kind of forced me to work on my communication skills. In the beginning, it was AA meetings. I was at my shyest and most fragile and insecure, and I found myself at AA meetings where I had sponsors and people that that mentored me that insisted I share because they could sense it made me very nervous. And so I would have to share. I would have to talk in front of a lot of people randomly when I wanted to do it the least, and it was very uncomfortable. And then after that, I got a job doing valet. And it was a very high-end beach resort called the Boca Beach Club, really hoity-toity place. And you had to be on your game and very polite and articulate, otherwise you're out of a job. So I had to kind of learn to be really good and communicative with all of these high-end members. And that was hard at first, but eventually became kind of second nature. And then I went on to become a personal trainer where I had to talk to people all day, every day. And it just, over the years, I've ended up working on my communication skills by being in situations that caused me to practice it. Eventually, it led me to starting a YouTube channel, initially for a gym I once owned, not this one now. And I had a few hundred videos there. I had other YouTube channels before this one that didn't really succeed at all. Probably 100 videos in total there. So you're looking at me now like 800 videos later probably, plus a decade of experience, and now I can speak nicely. But it took a lot of practice. So if it's something important to you, put yourself in a situation that will force you to have to work on those communication skills. And then when the time comes and you're doing your thing out there in life, when you get that inspired thought, there will not be any apprehension or inhibition, and you'll be able to fully express what you want to out there into the world in a way that you're satisfied with. And lastly, I want to say this, because I know what it's like to have an incredible amount of social anxiety, and also parallel to that, have an intense desire to share and inspire. And when there was such a disconnect and I just couldn't do it, it can be very, very frustrating. So my advice to you, if this is you, is allow yourself to fumble. There was a time, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago when I was coming into learning mixed martial arts for the first time, MMA. It's very hard. It's a very complex sport to learn. There's so many different facets, and you could study it every day for the rest of your life and still have like an infinite amount of skill that you could acquire beyond that point. And it was like very early on in what I was learning, I had this trainer that came to my house. He was kind of my friend. And I remember he was giving me some like tasks that were so simple for him. I could see the way he would execute these simple gestures. We were working on timing with a heavy bag. And it was just like, I just sucked so bad at it. And I remember when he left, I was like practicing. And I got so frustrated with myself that I just punched the wall out of sheer like anger and shame and self-disgust, because I had the ludicrous expectation that I should be better than I was. I didn't honor the path. I didn't recognize that there's a process of learning to become good at something, and I got frustrated. And for a little while, it caused me to quit. I picked it back up eventually, but I would say that I know it can be frustrating when you're trying to do something that it's just hard. So my advice to you is allow yourself to fumble. Imagine yourself as a parent teaching your child to ride a bike, and they fall. Would you say, what the hell's the matter with you? Why aren't you riding this bike? You suck. You're horrible. You should give up and quit. You would never talk to a child that way. So don't talk to yourself that way. It's the same situation. Anyways, I'll leave you guys with that. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I wish you all luck. And I believe all of you who really feel guided to share and inspire, and just you want to rid yourself of this anxiety, it does happen. It will happen. Your awakening is going to help you become aware of all the different things that are causing it in the first place. And even though it can seem like a million miles away, it might come up faster than you think. Just keep working at it. Peace.